Welcome to the Wickedly Smart Women podcast, featuring stellar conversations with emerging and established wickedly smart women. Thanks for joining us today as we celebrate women who are committed, care deeply, and have the courage to take action and create conscious change all around the world. Now here's your wickedly smart host, Angel B. Hartwell.
Welcome to another episode of the Wickedly Smart Women podcast, where we celebrate wickedly smart women and provide our listeners with a wealth of wisdom, along with immediately actionable steps to be smarter, spunkier, and more successful in their impact and their leadership. This is your host, Angel B. Hartwell, and today we welcome our special guest, Laleh Hancock. Laleh is a leadership and entrepreneurial coach, professional services consultant, personal wellness mentor, and founder and CEO of global professional services company, Belapemo. I hope I said that right. Laleh boasts 30 years experience in operational excellence, change management, and business consulting, and has inspired thousands of individuals, including Fortune 500 executives, government agencies, nonprofit organizations, athletes, and veterans. A highly respected executive and leadership coach, Laleh has a particular interest in supporting and encouraging the leadership capabilities of women in business, in the workplace, at home, and in the wider community. She is featured alongside luminaries such as Oprah Winfrey, Melinda Gates, and Ginny Rometty in the 2019 publication, America's Leading Ladies, Stories of Courage, Challenge, and Triumph. Welcome to the show, Laleh. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited about our conversation today.
I am too, and I'm going to just out myself to the entire podcast community here. Laleh and I had a freaking amazing conversation a week ago, and it somehow did not get recorded. So that conversation, the energy and the essence of that conversation is also incorporated into whatever gets recorded here and gets transmitted here. And I'm just so grateful that you were gracious enough to offer me your time again, because I know you're such a busy lady. So thank you again for coming on, and let us dive in today, Laleh. I'd like to start with the leadership piece. I do feel inspired to start with the leadership piece again, really because I feel like women in particular are being called to step up and stand in a leadership role in a greater way than we ever have in the past. And we have been repressed, depressed, suppressed, and oppressed for millennium now. And so it's almost counter-logical. I don't like to say counterintuitive because I don't even think that's an appropriate term for what is actually being called for. But it's counter-rational, it's counter-logical to actually stand up and speak out and talk about things that haven't been talked about before. So I'd love to hear a little bit of your own personal story around being called into leadership and how you have, stepped in that way and how you have embodied in that way.
Yeah. And thank you for the opportunity for me to be able to share this, because it is a hot topic in the world, especially what's going on with everyone being quarantined. And really, even some of the leaders that I work with at the beginning of this quarantine were like, I have no voice. I don't even know what I'm supposed to say to my teams or to the departments or to the organizations. Like, people were truly speechless, but not just speech. Like, they didn't know what to do even in their own families. So, this is something like I'm so excited that we get to have a voice and really be out in the world. Doing these interviews, I've really had to highlight that my leadership actually started at a very young age. When I was 7, there was a revolution in Iran where I lived. And within 24 hours, my dad pretty much shipped us to France and wanted us out of the country and so we could be safe. And I remember looking at really my environment, and I had my mom and my 2 sisters, but that's it. I didn't have any other friends or family. And okay, I don't know how long I'm going to be in this country. I might have to move again. And back then, we couldn't even say we were Iranian because they were killing even kids for being Iranian. So it was this moment of, okay, I can hide in my house and be with my loved ones. Or I really don't know how long I'm going to be here. My opportunity is to get to know everyone before I have to leave again. And that's really been my motto in life. Don't let anything stop you and your willingness to actually look at the difference you can make with the choices that you're making. And I find, whether this is men or women, like we really each are so unique and we bring such different skills, talents, and awareness to the world, truly. And so each of us having a voice and sharing that can really bring out new possibilities that never existed. Look at things so differently and make it so much better, but also be that inspiration for someone else to have their voice. And when we are willing to be leaders, not by title of a job or, I'm a VP or anything like that, but when you're willing to actually be that leader in your own life, what else gets created is truly infinite possibilities. So I'm excited that, although it seems like some difficult times, there are people who are noticing their difference is what has to be kicked in. They can't do status quo anymore. They can't sit back and hope someone else is going to lead and they're going to follow. But they actually have to put their 2 feet forward and be willing to be that leader.
Beautiful. I love that. Well, as you're talking today, and I did hear this story the last time we talked, but as you're speaking to me today around finding your own voice and stepping into that leadership role, what strikes me is you were 7 years old when you were literally uprooted from your native soil. And for a lot of people who are potentially called into leadership, what I have found, at least in my own journey, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but what I have found in my own journey is we have to be solid in our own root. We have to feel like we have a place on the planet, and we have to feel like we are being both held and sourced and nurtured through our roots. So what I would love to ask you about is, was there, part of what you do is you work around wellness. Was there either an intuitive process that activated in you as a child, or were there rituals or ceremonies that were brought with you, or, was there some kind of outside divine intervention that supported you in being able to make the choice?
Yeah. Back then I didn't know that. My family did practice being Muslim, like it was the rituals of being a Muslim. But with all this happening, my dad had to stay back, and due to his influence and the finances that he had, and the religion really was not favorable. So religion was actually banned in my household for the first 4 years of us leaving Iran, once my dad kind of reunited with us. So we didn't talk about it from that perspective, but my mom was always very intuitive. And I remember back then, it was more that I would say to you, I had a gut instinct. Like there's just something inside me that felt, yes, do this or don't do this. And it's not until now as an adult that I'm realizing how much it was my awareness. It was me feeling connected to truly this greater world and the universe that is here to support us. And I'm very lucky. My 2 sisters and I, with my mom, we were very close. So we would talk different kinds of conversations, while at the same time, there was the family secrets. No one wanted to share that my dad was in prison. They arrested him because he was influential. And so there was a lot of that hidden stuff, but yet, like, as soon as my dad reunited with us, he was the best dad in the world. He would blow dry my hair straight. He would walk me to school. Like there was this whole new world that got created that I didn't even know existed before. And so today I can say to you, I couldn't have even survived if I didn't know that I had my back supported by my family and the universe. I definitely believe that.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, what's really interesting in this story, Lale, is your dad was influential and your dad had money and your dad got put in jail for that.
Yep.
And yet you have grown yourself into not only a leader, but an entrepreneur who works around wellness, who works across the board in the space around leadership and around money and all of those things. So you talk often about choice. In our last conversation, there was a lot about choice. You could have chosen or been at the effect of that circumstance and been completely disconnected from money, completely disconnected from the power to create anything. So I'd love to have you talk a little bit about maybe how you help other people to get to the place where they understand that they have choice. And using your story, you have repetitively demonstrated the power of that choice. So how do you help other people to get connected not only with their voice, but also their choice?
Yeah. This choice thing, it sounds so simple, but most of us grew up thinking there are no choices. There's the right way to do things. There's the right way of being, the right way to be a mom, to be an executive, a leader. Everything has had these form and structures to it. But in reality, we each have a choice every minute of the day. And for me, I do work with people all around the world. And, my technique might differ a little bit if I'm in Russia or if I'm in Japan or if I'm in the US. But bottom line, it's empowering people to know that they actually know so much more than they realize. Most of us think our knowing is the education that we received. It's the information our parents shared with us, or we learned along the way. That's one of the ways that you have maybe gained additional information. But your awareness is actually the greatest knowing. And for me, with choice, the greatest choice is your willingness to ask a question. Even the asking the question of, what question can I ask here to have more clarity to what are the different options that are available for me? And then start listening. It's not going to be a voice that you think it is, like us talking right now, but it might be an idea that pops. You might even get the sense, go search something on the internet, or it might be that you pick up a book you haven't picked up in a long time and you open it and there's the information that you're looking for. Like truly, there's all these different ways that the energy of what you're asking for kind of shows itself to you if you're willing to receive it.
I love that. Well, we are going to talk more about energy and wellness when we come back after the break. And we're going to go a little bit deeper into some of the things that you are in creation with, Lale. But right now we are already at the break. I want to thank all of our listeners who are downloading, rating, and reviewing. We're welcoming thousands of downloads from all over the world. I do want to also mention that I have a new book that I'm encouraging everybody to take a look at BeHeardByMillions.com. It is called Be Heard by Millions and Live Your Destiny. You can get it on Amazon, on Kindle, or also in paperback. And we have a fun little quiz, What's Your Speaker Magic, that you can take and do with the book. So if you are feeling inspired to choose to step into the spotlight yourself and become a speaker, potentially a podcaster, I would encourage you to start with the Be Heard by Millions and Live Your Destiny book. So I want to also shout out this week to our listeners in France, because France welcomed Lale and her family when they moved there from Iran. Not exactly moved, but relocated quickly from Iran. And I also want to shout out to our listeners in Portugal, which is where Lale is right now. And thank you again for listening. We will be right back with Laleh Hancock.
The Wickedly Smart Women podcast is brought to you by the Wealthy Life Mentor. Women, are you on the edge knowing that life is calling you to make a change? Are you ready to be part of the evolution of what it means to be a wickedly smart woman, creating your wealthy life by design? A life that is an extraordinary work of art. Angel B. Hartwell, the Wealthy Life Mentor, is hired by women in transition. Women just like you who want to break through to their brilliance, become clear on the value of their wisdom, and embody a beauty-filled, balanced life of shameless self-expression. Discover your wealthy life readiness by taking the quiz at quiz.wealthylifementor.com.
And we are back with Lale Hancock. And I want you to know that you can find out more about Lale and all of the things that she's in creation with, because she is got a huge capacity to create, and she does her creation through making choices. She's choosing to create. And you can find out more about all the creations she's creating at globalwellnessforall.com, globalwellnessforall.com. We will have that in the show notes. What I want to talk about now, Lale, is what are you in creation with? Because one of the things that leaders do is they listen, they apprehend from the universe, they question, as you mentioned before the break, and they also take action, and they embody and bring through their physical body into the world the visions and the messages and the possibilities that they are shown. So you have obviously demonstrated yourself to be somebody who does that repeatedly with books and companies and so forth. What is in your cauldron right now, Lale?
Well, I want to laugh because, I was sharing with you that I've been quarantined in Portugal, and what an amazing place to be quarantined, to have these trees around me. So I have two businesses, consulting company and then Global Wellness for All, which is really about wellness in every aspect of your life. And within wellness, a lot of times people think of, oh, what am I eating? Or am I taking the right vitamins? Or, what are these other things, where actually the wellness that I'm talking about, that's one component. But it's your body, and every single one of us has a different body. And what our bodies require is different. Your actual mental state is different. So your mental health and different things that you can do to assist your spiritual growth, your physical growth, and your, creativity. And then there's financial. Most people, they don't focus on that at all, especially women. They're relying on someone else to take care of the finances for them. And then there's a business. So they're all connected. When you actually have wellness that's not there in one part of your life, including relationships, like it has this domino effect, because there's this one of you, there's this oneness of you that has all these different pieces. But when you actually allow all pieces to have wellness, it's just amazing what can get created. So one of those things for us was within the body is also how women, around their sexuality, around their uterus, their vagina, and other things related to that is usually the biggest taboo. And I've just noticed, like, when you have more wellness actually with your vagina, how it brings this magicalness into the world, into your business, into your relationships, and everything else. And I'm not talking about just from a sexual perspective, but like there's this strength, there's this confidence, and just this power that you get to actually be you and all of you instead of exclusion. So Conscious Vagina has been around for the last 2 years and does really well all around the world and has had great feedback. And it's just been designed to be its own business. So we're spinning it out of Global Wellness for All. And now it's already actually its own business, and it has products. We have a lot of awareness and training. We work with schools and children in body image, as well as their menstrual cycle, and really around including all parts of their body in their living, which is what kids do before, a certain age hits. And also this goes to adults too, but we just have a lot of different programs that we're creating to include children as well.
Beautiful. I love that. Well, when we talked before the break about the root, right? There's nothing more rooty than your conscious vagina, right? So I'm really grateful that you have created Conscious Vagina. I'm really grateful that you are at a place now where you are spinning it out and elevating and celebrating that. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about specifically kind of what are some of the things that you have either in the pipeline or already under the umbrella of Conscious Vagina that they could potentially access right now? And they can get that through globalwellnessforall.com. They can still access that through there. Yeah. So anything specific for our listeners to be smarter, spunkier, and more successful with their Conscious Vagina would be great.
Yes. So they can still access it through globalwellnessforall.com. They're sister companies together now, but they also can go to consciousvagina.com. So that's also available. And, we have a bunch of different things. So there are ebooks. So if you do things and learn more about the tools that can assist you in the privacy of your own home. We have workshops that we do that are online and in person, and you could listen to the audios, the video. You could be very interactive if you'd like to be. And then we also have products and services that are available for that. So there's sessions that are available to assist women. And when I say this, when I'm talking about Conscious Vagina, actually it started just for women. But last year, we actually opened it up to men being part of this program because it's not about the separation of the sexes. And I can just tell you the feedback that I get. We have people who are very outgoing executives, or we have stay-at-home moms that are very shy. We have children that take the courses as well. And after each one of these events, the amount of feedback I get, people just they're just so happy and excited. They feel like for the first time, they don't feel the separation inside their body, but there's that level of confidence. People get raises at work because now they actually can have a voice. I've had people, of course, tell me they've had amazing sex life too. That's one of the possibilities if that's what you're looking for. But it's not just about that. It really is about your sexualness, not sexualness, what we know, but that feeling alive. Having actual celebration of living in your body, being connected to the earth, being connected to nature and trees. How do you feel when you're in nature? None of that stuff in your head stays, and you're just this oneness to everything with no judgment. And that's the beauty that I've seen, men and women, just all of us have masculine energy and female energy, and men do too. They have female and masculine. And there's this other blossoming beauty that comes out of the men that actually get to be part of the program as well.
I love that. So what I really want the listeners to hear here, what I really want you to hear is there has been separation. We have been culturally conditioned, religiously conditioned, economically conditioned, familially conditioned for most of us to really live from the neck up, right? And so part of the pathway that Laleh has opened, part of the pathway that she has pioneered is getting us into the voice to at least begin with, right? And then from there down into our solar plexus where we can lead, where we can have leadership. But even if you have leadership and you have a voice, you've got to have the fuel for it. And the fuel comes through the conscious vagina and through the root and through that connection with the earth and the trees where vitality and life force and flow actually is fed to us. Am I hearing that correctly, Laleh?
Yeah, you pretty much said it so beautifully. And I mean, just I remember personally, growing up, my mom and I would talk about a lot of things. And so we might have talked about, menstrual cycle, because I used to have a terrible menstrual cycle when I was younger. And now I understand more. We think, oh, we're women, we have to have these health things going on. I remember my mom saying to me, don't worry, honey, mine was the same until I had kids. And my kids do not have these problems. I have twins that are 24 now. They just don't, because The minute that you are fed that this is exactly how mine is and this is how yours is going to be, we start creating that in our bodies. And then, one of the things about conscious vagina is actually you no longer going based on the patterns and the reference points of somebody else's body, but really letting all of that go and allowing you and your body to actually create what you and your body would like to create. And for me, I realized how connected I've always been to the earth. And my menstrual cycle was very much connected to what was going on in the earth. So when you start to actually have, I don't know how to say it, but when you have you again, it's you in totality, it's no longer all these things that have been labeled as you. There's this other level of freedom in your body.
Mm. Yeah, not only freedom in your body, but freedom in your life. It's interesting that you said that you have had a very strong connection to how the earth is showing up for you with your body, in your body. I am curious because I've noticed in my own self that my business actually, I live in New Hampshire. I go through the seasons, and literally my business is like in this seasonal thing that is attuned to the earth as well. So in our final question, I'd love to see if we can pull together leadership, money in particular, conscious vagina, and our connection to the earth and our choices. And just ask you if there's anything final that you would like to say across any of those topics, or if there's something else that's on your heart that you want to express before we close.
Well, we're infinite beings. We're energy, space, we're consciousness. We are connected to everything, every molecule. So the minute that we actually start taking away the walls of limitations, the walls of all these lies and points of views that we think we are, we actually allow us to have everything connected and allow everything as a communion assisting us. Money is energy. And when we stop making it be a wrong thing, we can actually allow money to be part of that contribution to creating greater and changing realities. That's what money was created, to change realities. And it wasn't for, I think, what the purpose of most of us think of what it is or how it's been abused. So when you do have money, when my business has money, I'm able to contribute to so many other businesses. So I actually have found when you are willing to put away everything that you think you are and everything that you think you've defined everyone else to be, is when you open the doors and the pathways to allow every molecule and everything in this planet to actually be a contributing to you. Contribution means gifting and receiving simultaneously. So you're gifting and receiving just with everything.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, thank you, Laleh, for being here. Thank you so much for coming back and doing it again with me. I really feel like you and I could talk for a long time about a lot of things. And so I just deeply appreciate all your contributing, all you are contributing as a leader, as a woman, as a conscious vagina to this world. Thank you so much for being here. Listeners, we love feedback. Please let us know what you thought of today's show, or send in questions or guest suggestions to listeners at wickedlysmartwomen.com. We might even give you a shout out on the show. Thanks for tuning in. Keep your ears open, and remember, you are a wonderful woman.
Thanks for tuning in, downloading, and listening. Be sure to rate and review Wickedly Smart Women on Apple Podcasts and share with other women who can benefit from today's episode. Wickedly Smart Women is the premier podcast series for informing, activating, and inspiring the leader who carries profound wisdom and knows that now is the time to welcome wealth. We welcome your feedback and guest suggestions and invite you to subscribe to our mailing list to be notified of each new episode at wickedlysmartwomen.com.